Welcome back to Squawkbox. The House China Select Committee releasing a bipartisan report calling for a reset of U.S.-China relations, economic relations, I should say. It's got nearly 150 recommendations in total, including raising tariffs against China. Joining us right now is the chair and the ranking member of that committee, Congressman Mike Gallagher, China Select Committee chair, and Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. He's the China Select Committee ranking member. I want to thank both of you. Well, first of all, how much of you guys are in agreement? Let's start there, because in this day and age, there's oftentimes little agreement between both sides.
Well, I think the fact that we have a report that has 150 recommendations, that's a bipartisan report that our committee got behind. I'm not sure that's ever happened in recent history. I think it's a testament to the work of our members. It's a testament to the work of the ranking member, who's been a fantastic partner on these issues. And obviously, not everyone is enthusiastic about every single one of the recommendations, but people were willing to come together and make principled compromise without compromising their principles, because I think everyone shares a sense that the status quo is insufficient when it comes to the CCP. We need to be doing more to defend ourselves, and we need to be doing more to expand our partnerships with key allies and partners, as well as enhance innovation here domestically. So for that reason, I'm very proud of the work we've done, and I think this is a bipartisan blueprint, not just a laundry list of recommendations, but a strategy and intellectual framework for how we can move forward.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, tell me this. If you're an American business and you're reading this, a multinational business that does business in China, you should be thinking what?
I think you should probably be thinking about the three different categories of actions that we covered in this report. With regard to the trading relationship, what we're saying is basically we're tired of the economic aggression that the CCP has practiced since it gained PNTR in 2000, the cyber hacking, the dumping of goods, the theft of intellectual property. And so Congress is going to take an increasing role in viewing those topics in conjunction with deciding how should we set tariffs with regard to China. On the second issue of basically preventing technology and resources going to China to build up its military, I think companies should be thinking about their investments in China and how do they relate to those particular topics. Which entities might be questionable that they're investing in that might be actually fueling Chinese military modernization or human rights abuses. And then finally, we covered the very important topic of investing in our workforce, making sure that we're equipping our workforce with the tools necessary to compete in the 21st century, fixing our immigration system to retain and attract the best and brightest, and then investing in technologies of the future. I think that's what companies and individuals should be thinking about as they look at our report.
Both Congressmen, let me ask you this. One of the lines in this is this idea to stop effectively underwriting the CCP and effectively stem the flow of U.S. capital and technology that's going to China. We've had a big debate even in the past couple of weeks about, for example, NVIDIA, which obviously makes these remarkable chips, and they're now selling sort of throttled chips. But there's a debate about whether it's better to sell China throttled chips or not to sell, or to sell them the actual chips that work, because if you sell them the throttled chips, how much time are you really creating, and are you actually just forcing them to actually leapfrog or create its own technology, which may ultimately compete with ours and potentially leapfrog us?
Well, I think that's a perfect illustration of how complex this aspect of the competition is. And I think that this is actually, it took us 7 months to produce this report. Because we are so thoroughly economically entangled with China, we're not suggesting it's going to be easy to lessen the economic leverage they have over us. That's why it requires a basic degree of humility. When it comes to chips, one thing we do talk about in the report, well, two things actually, strengthening our export controls to make sure that we can build upon the October framework that Commerce put out and make sure there aren't any loopholes in those reforms, as well as making it easier to build chip fabs here in America. And this doesn't just apply to chips, it also applies to critical minerals, with sensible NEPA reform that also respects the high environmental standards that we have here in America. If we don't do that, we're not going to be able to wean ourselves off our dependency on production of chips in the Indo-Pacific.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, but what do you think of the other side of it, which is, and you've heard this from the CEO of NVIDIA, I think there's a worry potentially that by cutting off access to these chips, now he may be arguably worried about his own business, but the flip side being that we're just going to inspire them more to build their own. And by the way, you probably are seeing what they're doing with the Huawei phone, which I think surprised everybody.
Sure. I think they're going to be doing that regardless. They are absolutely trying to innovate. They're trying to take technological leadership in the production of semiconductor technology. Up to this point, they haven't been able to, in part because we do possess the world's leading researchers and technologists and innovative companies in the design of these chips. All that being said, I think our constituents and the American people do not want us to be exporting those items to the CCP that they will then use in the modernization of their military, or that could be used in the perpetration of human rights abuses, for instance, against the Uyghurs with the Uyghur genocide in Xinjiang, where they are actively using a techno-surveillance state with artificial intelligence to repress these people. By the way, that's a subject of our 10th hearing tonight.
And we look forward to hearing more about that hearing coming up. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining us this morning. If we don't see you before the holidays, happy holidays. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.